So Mike, how do you fuel the great retention?
We oftentimes think about it in the context of the people we're trying to attract and the people we're trying to retain. We're trying to attract talent into our organization that has a lot of other options, and they have a lot of other choices. And we need them to know that, and that we feel privileged if they join us, not that they should feel privileged if we hire them. So that's one thing. I think it's a mental pivot, but it's an important one. So when I round in some of our hospitals or even in our physician clinics, I make a point to see our housekeepers. And I get some looks like, what do you mean? I'm just a housekeeper. I'm an environmental service provider. And I explain my view of how they clean a room can infect an infection, which is the #1 cause of death in Americans' hospitals. And that if they weren't cleaning that room the right way, more people would die in our hospitals, and that their direct impact is saving lives. So we really think about how do we empower our teams, our team members, our caregivers, the people in our organization. How do we empower them to empower people?
Actually, Mike just hit on one of the things I was going to add to that list, because I agree. People are really seeking to work in an organization where they can connect their purpose, why they're here, right? Their life's best work. And I will tell you, honestly, what I have seen in my career in human resources, the first 60 to 90 days are the most critical days of an employee's journey, right, of their career. Because in those 60 to 90 days, they're making decisions about the organization, right? Does this organization really connect with my purpose? You know, and honestly, is this where I want to be? So they're making decisions on whether they're going to stay and grow or leave, right? So we have to have the conversations, checking in, making sure we're connecting with our people, but also engaging them in the purpose, the vision, and the mission.
You have some thoughts about onboarding in the first 90 days. What needs to change?
Well, traditionally, onboarding is a process where we tell people how to do things here. And I think there has to be a balance, right? I mean, it cannot be one-sided. It's a two-way process. And so we should spend those 90 or 60 days getting to know them, letting them have the autonomy to make decisions in terms of what, when, where, and how they want to work. Why hire intelligent and very capable people that have spent a lot of money getting educated, and then telling them exactly what you want them to do?
So basically, you're talking about, let's take the first 90 days and put our employees on a journey of moving from prescribed approaches to results, to let them experiment and explore new methods on how to achieve those results. So Jeff, let me come back to you for a moment. I mean, you've often said that you enjoy fostering a culture where people see the company as their employer of choice, right? So why does that matter to you, and how does that benefit others? And then I got a follow-up question for you.
Sure. So here's what I'd say. At the heart of that whole question is actually my desire to get the most discretionary effort out of everybody around me, right? We all make choices every day about every task, about how much effort we're willing to apply to something, right? And if we just don't feel it, right, we're not going to feel that excited about, give it our best effort. So if I'm trying to get the most discretionary effort and I make a presumption that somebody who's willing to say this is my employer of choice means that they are willing to give that discretionary effort, then I have to get to know that individual as an individual person.
Go ahead, Tiff, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm powerful, right? I mean, I will tell you, those are some of the conversations we're even having in our workforce. And we're talking about, how do we create greater proximity, if you will, right? How do we bring our senior leaders much more close, if you will,
Sure.
to our frontline workers so that they can understand what are they dealing with on a day-to-day basis, right? So how do you, CEO or senior leader, how do you remove those barriers that keep me from being able to do the work? Again, going back to that purpose and being connected, how do you remove those barriers so I can do what I need to do every day?
It's not about the brand defining what individuals need and want, it's the other way around. Now, I want to go to you, Maricarmen. I know that workforce resilience is a rising concern. And yet, one of the most significant opportunities for our organizations, Maricarmen. What are the top 3 most immediate opportunities that we have right in front of us now that we're dealing with this level of workforce resilience?
Well, it figures that you would ask somebody from Puerto Rico about resilience. I think that's our last name now. But seriously, I think organizations have a challenge in which they need to create a work life that's sustainable. And employees are looking for support not only at work, but at home and in the community, right? And so what are the top 3 things or immediate things that organizations should be prioritizing? Health, well-being, and development. To create a sustainable work life, you need to build resilience, which is how quickly can you get back from disruption or from crisis. You need to have the agility to move forward, right? So bounce forward. And you need to feel like you're in the place where you belong so that you can repeat that process over and over again.